Today, Heather and Beige are so chill they're not here right now. This is ChillPoint. Yep, you're left with just me right now. Beige should be joining us in a little bit. Unfortunately, Heather is busy this weekend, or this day, which is a Friday. We do have Chair in the background, which is always good. But yeah, hey everybody, welcome to ChillPoint, the show where we talk about video game news. Talk about the week's video game news and the episode of ChillPoint that went up yesterday. And also have sips of hot tea. That's not like a required part of the show, but it is. So, let's talk about the episode of ChillPoint that just went up, and starting with Yakuza Like a Dragon, having just the upcoming Infinite Wealth for Yakuza, just having everything in it, I guess that's going to be the thing for Yakuza. It's just why it's doing the. I feel like Final Fantasy 14 was kind of doing that, has been kind of doing that too. It's like, if we just put all games in our game, then there'll be no reason for anybody to leave our game. To be honest, I'm actually kind of, I've been kind of interested. I haven't played any of the Yakuza games or the Like a Dragon games, which they've sort of started to mess around with the title that way. I haven't played any of them, but they've shown up on Game Pass now, or at least some of them have. I don't know if all of them, most of them. Anyway, a good chunk of them have shown up on Game Pass, including the new Like a Dragon, but in the past one. I forget what it's called. And I was like, Ishin. So I should really check those out. Anyway, I don't think there's too much more to add to this story than what Kathleen said, other than when I was going through and doing the graphics for this story, I was like, I wasn't like totally sure whether some of these things were like jokes that Kathleen had come up with. But no, not to say Kathleen doesn't come up with any jokes, but all the things of Like a Dragon, all the different things that happen are totally part of the game. You ride a dolphin to the island, apparently. And you can have your little Animal Crossing plays. Maybe there can be Kathleen's Animal Crossing tours. Anyway, we'll have to see. I don't know if Heather, if and when Heather finishes Baldur's Gate 3, we might not want to jump like right into another really long play it forward. But we'll have to see whether that would be a good one to play. And then Squadron 42. So yeah, what Graham said in this story is true. We here at ChillPoint LLC, have we have made a non small number of jokes about Star Citizen and Squadron 42 and Robert Space Industries, but you know what? I think, and I think they deserve it. I think we have almost every time that we make jokes about it have sort of caution or have couched our jokes in saying that we hope it is going to be good, but the expectations are at the point now where I don't know if it can be, I don't know if, it's the problem where it just can't live up to what it needs to be at this point. But hey, and this Squadron 42 is all done except for the polish, which, as sort of alluded to, Squadron 42 is ready except for, a few little bits. Was announced as the earliest I could find was like 2016. They announced that. So, whether what it means that it's done except for polish, who knows? As anybody who has anybody who's done any kind of creative project knows, the last 10% of a project is always the easiest part of the project. That last little bit to make it perfect, that's generally considered to be the fastest and easiest part of the project that is over the quickest. So we'll see what comes out of it. As I said in the after show, I think, or I think I made it into the after show. I was saying that if nothing else, Robert Space Industries has really pushed forward the state of the art in the timeline public production schedule. They've got this very sophisticated interactive timeline release schedule for all the different projects that are being worked on, all the different things that are happening, all the milestones. I like that he's saying in the update, he's like, now there's all these different strike teams on these different parts of Squadron 42, but they all have the same, they all have one deliverable, which is like Squadron 42 : polish. So, all they have to do is get that deliverable in and they're good. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, the trailer certainly looks pretty neat. It's a star-studded affair. Presumably that's where a good chunk of that $300 some odd million that they've raised gone into. They've got all sorts of celebrity casts and things, and looks neat. If and when it comes out, it could be good. But you probably have to look at it like, I feel like going in sort of not knowing about it might be the best experience, like there's just no way to live up to the any kind of hype that's lived in your mind. But if you just like forget that and just go into it, maybe it'll be good. Apparently the idea is that this Squadron 42 is supposed to be like the on-ramp to the larger Star Citizen MMO. I don't quite know if it's technically an MMO. Whatever Star Citizen is. Squadron 42 is supposed to be like the single player game that kind of gets you into that. We'll see what happens. And then Kathleen talked about literal dog doing AGDQ. Automatically, I think, wins the award for most adorable speedrunner, and also goodest speedrunner boy. I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure Peanut Butter has those two categories pretty much sewn up. I don't see much. I don't see much competition that's going to be in there. The trailer actually for like that, they put like, I don't know if the speedrunner, what's his name, JSR, I don't know if he put together or AGDQ put it together, but there's that little trailer of like coming to AGDQ, the first, speed run by a dog, Peanut Butter, and showed some sort of, that's where I got the screenshot, and it's like, first dog to speed run, assuming he doesn't get distracted and, likes the treats. It seems to be, I think it's it's a very, from what it looks like, I mean, obviously there's some very sophisticated training for dogs, but it looks like he's able, the streamer is able to assist the dog with the speed running by using carefully timed and positioned treats. But I presumably it is I would guess that the training process has probably gone on quite a long time. So I hope that JSR and Peanut Butter have a really good time. There's this one of these fancy streetwear collections from Arc 8, who did these Elden Ring streetwear collection, which here I'll throw up a couple. Let me some of the pictures were in the episode, but let me bring up the rest of them, because there's some pretty sweet stuff, although not inexpensive, shall we say. The Lands Between collection. I mean, it's priced the way these collections, are, in the sense that they're not just for, random stuff to have in a department store. It's a very sophisticated market, especially these, like, tarnished, destroyed sweater. Yeah. You have to be extremely rich to wear a $332 sweater with holes in it. That's how you know that you're super rich. Very, very derelict. Oh, hey, there's even more close shots. Can I just go? Wait, how do I get back to the... I want to go back. But, that's obviously silly. But, I mean, this is, some of these other ones are like kind of legit. I mean, Kathleen mentioned this one. I mean, it's $1,500. So it's not, I wouldn't call it $1,500 legit, but, it's cool looking. Also, the way that everybody has their back to all these shirts, I guess, because they just have stuff on the back of the shirt. So, anyway. I mean, making fun of, that kind of fancy streetwear stuff is kind of shooting fish in a barrel. But then again, they put it out there, Why are these fish in this barrel if not to shoot? And then Squird, which is it's not Word. I guess it's sort of adjacent to Wordle. It's a whole word scramble thing that people have been enjoying. And what's cool is that the actually kind of like Wordle, in fact, the developer put it out there, no ads or anything, and deliberately didn't want any ads on it. Obviously, the Wordle guy sold off to New York Times or wherever he sold it to. But anyway, what Josh Simmons got really annoyed about is that people can have been embedding his thing in other pages. There's all sorts of like online game aggregator sites, and he's gotten really annoyed with various companies doing that, and then they surround it with really nasty ads or all sorts of stuff that he's like, I don't want to run any ads on it, and I don't want other people to be making money off my stuff, which I feel is very legitimate. And so he put in a thing that puts in Goatsy and said with a sign over it that's like, I like stealing things. Oh, hey, Beej.
How you doing?
Hey. What a coincidence. We were just talking about Goatsy and you came in.
Great. I'll fix that another time. Cool. All right. Goats.
Hey.
I was impressed that you got away with like a second flash on the screen, and that was about it. Just like done. Okay.
I blurred it.
Oh yeah,
it was blurred out.
It sure was.
And I put in a warning slide before
for a very long time. Yeah.
I appreciate somebody in the YouTube comments was like, "Is it weird that the Goatsy picture makes me like slightly nostalgic?"
Yeah. I've heard that from people before, that they're kind of like, oh, it takes me back to time of the internet, like a long time ago. It's like, yeah, it doesn't get around much anymore. It's hard to walk like that.
Anyway, yes,
me.
'Twas a simpler time, a time when you could just point somebody to a link and they would click it and not really think about why they were doing that.
No, getting pretty upset about it.
I remember, now this might be apocryphal, but I remember the story being that on Slashdot, that they were one of the first sort of link aggregator sites to, when somebody put a link in brackets, like if somebody put like put a link in the text of a thing,
right,
in square brackets after the link, it would give you the domain name, like right. It would put like the domain name. And the story I heard was that they put that they added that feature because people kept doing it.
Getting sent to Goatsy.
Kept putting like blind links and would go to the wrong thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, yeah, just one of those emergent features of a safer internet.
This is why we can't have nice, things.
Yeah, you're right.
Anyway. Actually, this is perfect. So Bish now,
Speaking of nice things.
yeah, Bish wasn't in this episode, but you did write this story.
Yeah, we're the three of us are all part of the writing team, so we all do something as whenever we can. So
this is about I am 8-Bit and Annapurna Interactive are coming out with this bundle or this physical release for all these Annapurna interactive games.
It gave me a feeling of this is because obviously there's the whole there's 12 games. Well, there's 11 acclaimed games and this other thing. Mm-hmm. But it also put me in mind of it's yet another game collection for the Nintendo Switch. Because boy, are there like dozens of those.
It's the first thing I thought was like the like humble indie bundles back in the day would be like, the humble whatever bundle.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, for $10 you get all the games from this developer.
Yeah.
Right. And this is like it's like with like the drinking of the water, right? But this is like for 200, it's like, it's like, here's a bundle of games for a very reasonable price.
Yeah, when you think about it.
Not an insanely low price, not a ridiculously high price.
No.
This is a pretty reasonable price that you can justify. But it's just like, usually when there's like a bundle, it's like either it's like some sort of massive special edition physical thing, and there's some sort of resin figures and all these kind of things, and it costs like $500. And it like costs a ridiculously large amount, or it's like like $10 and you get all the stuff.
Yeah. And that's kind of the point that this kind of occupied for me, is that when I looked at it, like $200 for 12 indie games, like who would pay that? And I'm like, wait, though, it isn't $200 for 12 indie games. It's $200 for 12 indie games baked into this artifact. Now, is that worthwhile? And I'm like, when Heather said, because she's like, it's like $16 a game, and I'm like, oh, actually, that's not bad. Like most indie games hit the Switch at about the $10 to $15 level anyway, and then they go up and down in price over the course of years, right? And so I'm like, for the Switch, $10 to $15 per indie game is not bad, and because I think Donut County I think I had to wait for a sale to get it close to $5 on the Switch, and I was just like, you can just get it for $5 on Steam though, right? That's the other side of this, is that that was the last line of the story, which I kind of felt like, right. You can just finish all these games because they've already been waiting in your Steam library for years and you haven't played them yet. So you can order this now and then finish all the games before you get it.
Looking at between various bundles, Xbox Game Pass, Amazon Games, Epic Games, I believe I do actually own like a reasonably good chunk of these games.
Yeah.
I think Donut County and the
Gorogoa
is the only ones that I've actually played.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's and I agree with Graham. The only bad thing I have to say about Donut County is that it's too short.
Yeah.
There's a few games like that I notice about indie games where it's an odd thing to say, because it's sort of something that is often like a criticism of more bigger titles, but you're like, it's like, why not just you should really have stretched this game more.
Yes.
Like Donut County, you had this really cool mechanic and you did, but there's like, it's only like the last level that things really kick off and doing all sorts of interesting stuff with that. It's like you already had like all the level and the mechanics and everything built. You could just have done more of that.
Yeah, it's like
or like make some DLC or something like it seems like, I mean, I know level design is hard and there's a lot of work to be done on that, but it seems like, a really good chunk of the difficult part is done now. You could just make more of it and it would entertain people for longer.
Like I had that experience with Monument Valley, right? And then then they made a second game of Monument Valley, so then I picked that up like immediately, and then I got the DLC for that and everything. And it's like, yes, and play this, and then I played that, and I was like, again, still too soon for me.
Again, yeah, Monument Valley is like, and Monument Valley 2 was actually even worse than the first one in terms of both games really great, telling all sorts of interesting stories and really fun mechanics.
Yeah.
But both of them, and I think the second one was even worse for this. Mm-hmm. Like, I felt like I spent the entire game doing this is how the mechanic works part.
Right.
And I didn't actually get to like the puzzles.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like, this is cool.
Yeah.
You know, you came up with an awesome mechanic. It's kind of breaking my brain.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying that. And there's all sorts of neat stuff. But before it got to, I'm not going to say I'm the best gamer ever, but it was too easy.
Yeah. It's weird, right?
You know,
yeah.
it's weird. It's like, hey, yeah, you could just extend it a little.
Yeah.
Extend it a little more, you know?
I've found
you know.
I mean, the problem that I have though too is that like when I'm really enjoying a game, the game flies by, and I've found just about I thought I found 100% of stuff. I haven't actually, like, not Koroks or whatever in Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, okay.
But boy, have I done just about everything in that game so far. And there's there's like armor and stuff that I'm missing that I have to go like look for the things for. But I was checking that the other day because I'm like, I think I'm done and I just have to go fight the final battle, which I don't want to do. And I'm like, why didn't they put more in this game? And then I realized, I was showing my parents, like, here's the list of stuff that I had to do in this game, and it just kept going and going and going. I'm like, oh no, I played this game a lot. Like I got all my money's worth out of this game. Oh my god.
Say what you will about Zelda.
Yeah.
I feel like there isn't enough in here is probably not a valid criticism.
Yeah, they're not having a content problem at all. It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, you know, that like, I'm sad that I've reached the end of the game.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. Yeah.
And so, you know, this coming back to the Annapurna Interactive Collection, it's like you've probably played most of these games before, and so it has that thing of you know, you might just be in for more of that kind of experience of like, oh, the game is over and I'm sad, but also I'm sad because of the content of the game, not just the fact that the game is over.
I mean, they have
they have a type.
Maybe I don't know if sad might not be the right, melancholy maybe might be the thing.
That's what surprised me with Donut County. The more I played it, I was kind of like, this is a very melancholy game. I didn't expect it to be, but yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, let's continue on to talk about Final Fantasy VII. Also, yeah, no.
If I'm being echoey, maybe I do need to not talk into your mic. I need to talk in this direction. I'll try to do that.
I haven't been totally happy with the mic setup in here. There's things we should do to improve things.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is, I like that this story is basically how this story that Kathleen wrote is about how this story shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Right. This is like, hey, you know, this story is about how, you know, how it has been posted in multiple places, and there was an interview, with the lead developer of Tetsuya Nomura, mm-hmm. The lead developer for or the director for a remake, about how it's only taken 4 years to do.
Yeah.
Because their team is so you know, has this, you know, chemistry of working together, and they can solve all these problems.
Yeah.
Because 80 to 90% of the team is the same team that worked on Final Fantasy VII, the Final Fantasy VII remake, I guess it's called. Yeah, remake and then Rebirth and then whatever. something else.
Yeah, and that idea of like
But
what happens when you keep the same team together to continue to work on the same project together. It's like, oh look, it actually goes smoother.
the idea, like, it didn't even occur to me, the idea that like they would fire everybody after. It's like we're making a game that's a 3-part game
Yep.
that we've defined as a 3-part game.
Yep.
That's a remake of an existing game, so all 3 parts are going to be related to each other very tightly. The idea that they would like fire the team and rehire a new team between each game,
Yeah.
but that's how the industry works sometimes.
And which is kind of interesting because also that's like that's like a 12 to 15 year job security right there, right? That you're like, oh well, we've got time to put this out, so 80-90% of the team is going to be the same team working out the entire time, you would assume. So,
And of course, you know, I know that the Final Fantasy remake and Rebirth and all this stuff games are quite different
Yeah.
from the Final Fantasy thing. If I didn't know that,
yes.
somebody being excited that it only took them 4 years to make a remake of a third of the
Yes.
to make a remake that is only going to cover a third of the previous game, I wouldn't like shout that to the rooftops.
I wouldn't jump for joy at all.
But you know what? Small mercies from, you know, we've talked about this before, that Square Enix clearly has made, and maybe this is a change in their culture, because clearly they've had issues with, I'd say Final Fantasy 16 took 7 years, 15 took 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's been reflected when we hear, you know, after these games come out, we hear like investor meetings and stuff, and they go like, well, didn't quite meet the, you know, the numbers that we were expecting. And they go, oh really? That's a shame. I thought people seemed to really like that, and it was reviewed well.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it only sold, you know, 5 million copies.
Yeah.
So, you know, it hit pretty low on our expectation. And it's like, what the hell are you guys doing?
And you're, of course, when you think about it, when you consider that, it's like, so why is 5 million not enough? It's like, well, if we had made this game in a year, 5 million would be amazing because it would have paid for everyone's salaries and we would have made a lot of money. And it's like, right.
Yeah.
Because that game didn't come out for 10 years.
Yeah, 100 developers working for 10 years is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, so you need to sell an awful lot of product at that point. Which is kind of also, that's dumb too, right? Because it's like the calculus of the whole thing is, you know, it is based on man hours, like salary paid, and then of course you have to be able to make that back. And so at what point do you just cut bait? Like, do you just actually say, okay, you know what, we're 3 years into development on this game, finish this up so it's ready to release just the way it is. You've got 3 months, push it out the door. And if it's not done, we'll just call everything else DLC, and we'll release it later and make people pay for it, or, you know, whatever, so we can get our money back, because we need to start making our money back now. And and that sucks. You know, it's not what anybody in the industry, I think, wants to see happen. People, you know, like creatives want to release the things that they make. They want to actually do they want to realize their vision. I mean, look at Squadron 42. I mean, they want to realize their vision. But if you don't have that kind of audience that's waiting for that or is willing to put up with it, then you're going to start feeling like, shit, I better get this thing out here, because otherwise I can't make the money back so I can keep this whole operation going and maybe get to my vision. That's frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, who knows? Who knows what's going on behind the scenes in some of these companies? But, I mean, this is, you know, we've been talking about Square Enix not being able to coordinate their development budget for years and years and years on ChillPoint. So
it should not be.
It is not a new thing for Square Enix.
And I kind of feel like it shouldn't be an acceptable thing that a mainline game in a series should take 10 years to come out. Like, I feel, because I know, like, Tears of the Kingdom, if they started working on it the moment they were done Breath of the Wild, which you know that they didn't, because they were working on DLC stuff and everything there too, right? So it's like producers are probably spinning up ideas for it, but you don't actually get to the point, probably maybe a year after release, where they're like, now we're actually going to hunker down and make this. And that's like 6 years for that to come out. Like that still feels like a long time to everybody who is waiting on a sequel to a game. And so in this case, it's like, oh well, we're 4 years for them to continue to continue Final Fantasy VII. It's like that is short, but that also feels like that's what it should take because that's what you're willing to as an end user you want to put up with.
Yeah, turns out games are hard.
They're very hard now. Yeah,
This is why when the certain franchises you get your Call of Duties and your Assassin's Creeds and these ones that at least for a while had like a yearly release schedule.
Yeah,
you can see why that's ended up being so ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, and then Future Lab is coming out with a new game called what's it called?
Yeah, I forget the name of it already. I just Power Wash Simulator is all I can remember.
Icaro Will Not Die. Is now what I love. Now these people they also did a game called Velocity.
Right.
Power Wash Simulator is not the only thing, but all the headlines for this are like new game from the developers of Power Wash Simulator, and the trailers and it's like that's a bit of a change.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you have expanded, but then again, as somebody who very much enjoys Power Wash Simulator, now I kind of want to, after seeing the trailer, I kind of want to power wash those levels that have been shown in the trailer.
They have the IP. They can put DLC out for it.
Exactly. I mean, there's actually another story that there is a new DLC coming out for Power Wash Simulator for Back to the Future.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which is pretty sweet.
You watch the DeLorean and stuff.
I guess, yeah.
I do think that it's interesting that it's because it's a momentum action roguelite.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's based on you'll have I don't know if that's like a Mirror's Edge feeling kind of thing when it comes to momentum.
I think I think it's third person, but yeah, it strikes me as that kind of sort of parkour free running stuff.
Keep moving and stuff, and it's like I mean you could definitely do that like Jetpack Joyride style if you just strap a power wash thing to your back and just go. They could have leaned into anyway. It doesn't matter.
This ChillPoint is nothing if not a place to air my random pet peeves, which I will do now. Which is that I very much enjoy Power Wash Simulator, and I have it on the Xbox Game Pass.
Okay.
And it annoys me that when you have Game Pass, you're paying whatever a month to have Game Pass, and they give you all these games.
Right.
It is not understood that you get the DLC with the game.
Really?
If it's paid DLC.
That makes but I guess that does make sense. But at the same time, it's like I'm renting the game, but I have to buy the DLC, right? Right.
So like if I want the Back to the Future DLC, it costs $6 or whatever. I have to buy that, but then, and I'll own that, I guess.
Yeah.
But if I ever go off Game Pass, I won't be able to use it because I won't actually have the base game anymore.
Yeah, it'd be like having to rent a car, but then you have to buy the tires to go on the car. It's like when you're done, then like, what do I do with these 4 tires? Like, I don't know if they're yours.
Yeah. Occasionally, like sometimes the version on Game Pass is like the gold version that has all the DLC with it.
Right.
But by default, the DLC, like I think in these, in these game subscription services, the point of the there's all these games have Battle Pass or
right.
whatever. I feel like that should be implied that's if you're paying for the if Microsoft has the deal with the people to make it so that you can play the game,
right?
The deal is that you get to play the most recent version of the that's and like that to me that's like the that's one of the advantages of the of this sort of subscription model, right? Is that you don't own the game, you don't have the physical thing, but on the plus side, you have like the most recent version with all the stuff.
Right.
But that is not the case, so it annoys me. Anyway, actually, as just a very small thing about I was just remembering about the Annapurna Interactive
Oh yeah.
thing that I very much enjoyed when I was
Looking
when I was
for...
doing the graphics for
Yeah.
it. Is if we go to the store page.
Store page, yeah.
I love, so just because of how Annapurna Interactive games are named, it goes, first of hindsight, I am dead if found, ... and Solar Ash.
Yeah, like they're waiting to make a big announcement. Yeah.
Because the name of the game is If Found, ellipse. The ellipse is part of the name of the game, but it just makes it sounds like kind of like what we would do. Like, you get 12 games and Solar Ash.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought that was funny. It's like you get that every once in a while with, like, they do this stuff with, like, signs on like movie theaters and stuff where they put the ellipse in really bad places or whatever.
And then all of a sudden you're saying something. You've formed a sentence. Yeah. So then we're on to the stuff that we didn't cover this week.
So yeah, the stuff we didn't cover. Now, Graham and Kathleen talked about some of the stuff in the after show,
yes.
But we can talk about there's the new Slim the new PS5 Slim.
Right.
Its external drive, the external disk drive that comes with it, has to be registered online. Well, from now, this isn't actually out yet. This is taken from leaked pictures of, like, the box that says, like, must have internet connection. So the general consensus is people think that it's got to, like, register one.
Yeah.
When you, and so either, or either it could be doing one or all of these things, right? It's it could be associating the device with your particular PS5.
Yeah, I could believe that. Okay.
Which is pretty shitty if you want to, resell it to somebody else.
Exactly.
There's also, like, if it's a Blu-ray drive. So Blu-ray has encoding,
it has encryption.
It's got its encryption stuff. So there could be a registration thing for that.
Right.
Or just in general to prevent the PS5 Slim from being able to have some random third-party disk drive attached to it.
Right.
It's got to be it's got to be the disk drive, this particular disk drive, and it's got to be registered online.
Because it probably doesn't have whatever they're using to attach it with doesn't have a specific, like a special. They didn't come up with a special adapter for it. It's probably just USB. It's
one would hope, yeah.
Or eSATA if they want to go ridiculous or something like that. But yeah.
I mean, I feel like we're at the point where it's probably that, like, 5-10 years ago, it would have been USB, but just a weird connector that wouldn't work with anything else.
Exactly.
Because they hate us.
Yeah, and then you'd be able to go on to, like, Amazon or
and you could, like, chop a cable and redo it.
Yeah, and make it into USB, or you could find, like, an adapter. So it's like, here's Sony's weird, like, messed up adapter that uses, like, DIN 5. But we have DIN 5 to USB, and you just plug it in a USB drive, and it all works. And yeah, it could be a thing where it's like you plug it in, and maybe this is also the anti-piracy thing where it's like you plug it in, and it's not like it needs to register. It's just that the drive itself doesn't come with any firmware, so it can't actually do anything until you plug it into a PS5, and I see who I am, and now I need to talk to the internet to download firmware to put on the drive itself.
Something
and it could
like
even
that.
cryptographically sign it in that process. All of the things that you've brought up all sound like individual things that could be combined together to make it even more of a mess.
Yeah. And of course, the great thing is that, 15 years down the line,
when the servers don't work.
When that server's gone, you unbox your thing and plug it in, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, because God, if it had to keep checking it like once a year or something, ugh. Anyway,
What else we got going on here? Sakurai of Smash Brothers
yeah,
fame
Sora Ltd.
has on.
He did an interview.
He did an interview on Monday, I think. Yeah, or he announced on Twitter.
Right.
He put it on Twitter.
Back on the 23rd.
On the 23rd. So yeah, that was Monday. That both Mario Wonder and Spider-Man 2 were great. That he had completed both games and they were great games. Mario Wonder came out on the Friday.
Yes.
And Spider-Man 2, I believe, came out, if not that Friday, then like very soon for.
Yeah.
Basically, everyone's like, holy crap, you beat both of those games in that weekend?
And that man's 50 years old, and I can only hope to have that kind of vitality at that age. And I'm closing in on it, too, and I don't know if I could do it, but...
Oh, the 20th. So anyway, apparently, yeah, he's been gaming hard.
Though I am also inclined to believe that he got a Golden Master copy, like he got given like a pre-sales
maybe
copy.
he got to play early.
So that might be what, because I can believe that with Wonder especially as well. That somebody in Nintendo probably said to him, he's like, "Hey, do you wanna play the new game?" And he's like, "That sounds awesome." And like, "Great, cool. We'll give you a code for it. You can download it from the store." Maybe the same thing with Spider-Man 2. You know, I see that he's not talking about any Xbox titles that he's getting ahead of time. So I'm sure he has friends at Sony and Nintendo who can throw him some cool new stuff every so often. And yeah,
he says it's a problem when the release dates of big titles you should watch overlap. However, I think both are masterpieces that I can recommend to anyone. The new games are amazing, and I am grateful to them for making them. So nice, and
yeah.
I mean, you know, I think there's a little bit of like a community, like almost protectiveness.
We have a lot of compassion and empathy for him.
Of Sakurai, that everyone's like, you did good.
Yeah.
With Smash Brothers, take some time. We're just happy that you're happy.
Yeah, I love that he keeps making his videos. He just recently did a collab with Game Center CX, or Retro Game Master, as we know it over here in North America. He did a thing where he sat down with Arino, who's the Retro Game Master in this case, who has played tons and tons of console games. Like the whole point of Game Center CX started with essentially that this guy doesn't know anything about video games, and so they gave him Super Mario Brothers to play on the Famicom, and he'd never played it before, but been out for like 20 years at this point, and so he tried playing it, and they just filmed him playing it, and it was like just reactions and stuff of him trying to understand how this game worked, which people found very funny. He was doing these whole playthroughs of games before Let's Play was a coined term on the internet, so now he goes by the father of all Let's Plays, and it doesn't really matter. I think it's interesting, but Sakurai's been busy, and he with the YouTube channel and everything else, and I'm glad that he's making stuff, and I'm glad that we're hearing about him still liking video games, which is very important, because living a life in there and being like, I have to stop making them for a while. It's like, well, I'm glad to see you still like playing them.
Who is it that is just doing curry now?
Hideki Kamiya.
Right, from Bayonetta.
Yeah. Platinum Games. He's like, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm like, I want these two guys to get together briefly. I want them to talk video games and
talk video games and curry. Yeah.
Oh, other thing too. So on, I didn't know if I was going to like Wonder or not, and I haven't played it yet. But I haven't played it yet, and seeing the first couple minutes, like in the directs and everything, the more I watched, the more I was like, oh, I gotta give this a try. Like, I really gotta know if this is gonna be good. And it looks like it's gonna be so fun, and reading the articles and everything else. But what's really turned me on to the idea of playing it has been seeing more and more YouTube videos coming out where it's like, oh, Mario Wonder is a masterpiece. Mario Wonder is an amazing game. And everyone having little reviews of it and really realizing it's like, wow, I haven't seen anyone say this game sucks. that it's like it's just a miserable game. The closest I got was Maddie Thorson from Maddie Makes Games, Tower Fall, Celeste. What's the new one? Earthwind? I can't remember what it's called. Someone's going to correct me in chat. They had played. They'd played it. Earthblade, thank you. They played Wonder. They said, okay, I got credits. I have not 100% completed it. This game's pretty good. I don't think it deserves all the praise it's getting, like that kind of idea. And if Maddie is watching this, it's going to be like, that's not what I said. It's like, yeah, I'm paraphrasing you and I apologize. And then like a few days later, they tooted again. They're like, okay, and now I've 100%ed it and I totally understand. Like this game is brilliant. And I was like, that's not what I expected, that if you just play the game through and you're not looking for stuff and they're really trying to explore stuff in what is a 2D Mario game, is my understanding, it is supposed to be a 2D Mario game, that you're going to miss the point. And I'm like, you got to be looking for stuff and you got to be trying to find all the things, and that's what's going to make it even more fun. And I'm like, okay. All right, if people are coming around on it after they play it even to the credits, then yeah, I think I'm here to give it a shot.
I mean, I'm a huge sucker for any kind of I love the Yoshi's Crafted World and
there's lots to collect there. Yeah.
All those kind of 2D Nintendo games I'm all over.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to check it out. All right, so here's a couple of stories that I actually just didn't make it into the thing. Starting with Disney Dreamlight Valley, which has been in sort of a public beta, whatever you call early access thing.
Yeah.
For a little bit.
Huh.
And so they've had this weird system where it was going to be. They were charging for it. It's about $30, I think.
Okay.
To get access to the beta.
Okay.
But when it comes out, it's going to be free to play. Is the idea. So you pay now, and you can get access to the beta and play it, and get a bunch and get a bunch of and get some bonus stuff.
Right.
But then when it's feature complete and comes out, it'll be free to play.
Okay.
Turns out it won't be.
Okay.
Turns out that it when it comes out, it'll in fact be $40. It'll be $10 more than it was in early access.
But it'll be complete. It will not be
presumably
$40 a month.
No, it's not a live. Well, I guess it'll be a purchase. Yeah.
Okay.
It won't be there. It's not a subscription. And they're gonna have several different.
Don't say tiers. Please don't say
tiers.
Are they really going to have tiers?
Well, yeah, they're going to have different versions.
Oh, versions. Okay, good. I was like, gameplay tiers.
There's Disney Dreamlight Valley, the base game, which will be $40.
Okay.
There's Disney Dreamlight Valley Cozy Edition.
All right.
Which is $50. And you get a physical copy of the game, along with 14,500 moonstones.
Sounds like a lot of moonstones.
A cottage house skin, 5 raccoon companion skins, and a Cheshire Cat sweater. I'm assuming the Cheshire Cat sweater and stuff is all in game. You don't actually get a sweater.
I hope it's actually like an animated sweater, like he's smiling and stuff on it.
Also, you get a physical poster and a sticker sheet.
Okay, all right. Get some stuff.
Yeah. I kind of object to the more expensive version being called the Cozy Edition.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just I feel like the especially in the context of video games, the term cozy is something that has been embraced by like indie games.
Yes.
A lot.
Yeah. There's an aesthetic and
a cozy. What was the name of the? There's a Steam event. There's a like a special. Presentation that was like the cozy.
Like when Wholesome Games was doing their presentation. It was
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so one Disney just being like, this is the cozy one, and also the cozy one being the more expensive thing is kind of crappy to me.
And there's another one after this too.
But then there's also the gold edition.
Oh, okay, good.
Back to usual stuff. Now that one's digital only.
Oh.
But it also includes the upcoming expansion pass.
Okay.
So it's not a subscription game, but there will be expansions that are pay for.
Fair. All right, I can see that.
That'll be $70.
Yep.
You get 15,000 moonstones. I don't know why you get
500 more.
You get 500 moonstones. The other one, you get a flowery capybara animal companion, which is a pretty compelling.
Yeah.
That's a compelling argument right there.
Agreed. Yeah.
And a flowery summery cottage house, and a new avatar costume.
Oh, and they have pictures of this stuff too. So that's
Okay.
what we're talking about.
All right, that is a pretty good capybara right
Get you
there.
some
I'm
overalls.
not gonna argue with that. That is an adorable capybara.
I'm a little put out that that what looks to be the female avatar overalls are all pretty and painted and stuff like an artist would probably do, but the male overalls they're completely clean. They're artists' overalls, but they're completely clean and do not even have any ornamentation that you put on yourself. Like that's a little disappointing, but
Also, the guy's face is really creeping me out.
yeah, fair. I like that cottage house though. That thatch is gonna be a bitch to have to change out every year, but I like it.
Also, whoever designed these overalls, I think maybe didn't understand what
Yeah.
the word overall means.
Yeah, it's supposed to cover you over all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are just like high-waisted pants.
Yeah, they're hip waders is what they are. Yeah. It's like denim hip waders. I'm like, oh, that sounds useless. Yeah. Well,
I'm just saying.
you should not, and not even overalls. You should give them, like, if they're artists, you should give them an apron to wear, like a full kind of,
Right, yeah.
That's what they should be wearing. But
So anyway,
I like this trend.
of games pretending to be free to play.
No, I mean,
and
that
then
sucks.
Changing that.
Let's be fair, that sucks. Animal Crossing was like $70 at launch,
Right.
And it was done. And then they said, well, actually, every month there'll be just new stuff coming out all the time. So it's this.
But
kind of live
there
service.
hasn't been any pay DLC for
There
Animal
was
Crossing.
Happy House Designer. No, wait, what do we call it in Animal Crossing New Horizons again? I forget what it is. There's the home design expansion, which is which is where you can build like walls and stuff, like extra things in a room, and that sounds stupid, but it's like really you can build walls.
With this expansion, you could have walls in your house.
Yeah, Happy House Paradise. That's what it is. So they add a different island, but you get that if you have the expansion pass with NSO, or you can just buy it on its own. I think it's like $20 or something like that as a DLC, and you're done. Like you get it and you're finished. And I'm like, the fact that Disney Dreamlight Valley said rather than make this free to play and make people have to pay for cosmetics and pay for this and pay for this and pay for that, what if we just backtracked on that right now before it comes out and say, you know what, buy the game, you've got it, you're done. Do you want to get expansion stuff later? As expansion stuff comes out, you can pay for it once and you're done. And I'm like, I'm more willing to chase that than I am to chase the whole it's free to play but there's stuff locked behind having to pay like a little bit here and a little bit there and then feel like I'm only paying $1 at a time, but the next thing you know I've paid like $40 in a month or something, and I'm doing that consistently.
Now you say that, I haven't looked into it, but I feel like I can pretty much 100% guarantee you that cosmetics in the game are still going to be, there's still going to be like paid
you still have to pay microtransactions?
There's still going to be microtransaction
That will
stuff
suck.
in the game.
Okay, no, I don't like that at all.
I don't know that for sure, but I would guess that there's still going to be microtransactions and in-game currency and all that good stuff.
I don't like that stuff.
I mean, you got part of the, because I mean, part of that thing is you got like 15,000 moonstones, which presumably are an in-game currency.
I just assume that you get to buy moonstones with stuff that you do in-game. It's like, oh, you've done a certain amount of whatever, well, we'll trade that in for some moonstones.
No,
you have 100,000 Simba coins, you can trade those in for 10 moonstones. And no.
So innocent.
Yeah. I play a lot of Nintendo games where this shit doesn't happen to me.
There's been a little bit now. This isn't like
speaking of free to play.
Yeah, this isn't a ton of like new information, but there's been some confirmations and stuff about our old friends at Unity.
Oh, good.
And there's been some more sort of scuttlebutt about what the hell actually happened with that. This is something that was highly speculated beforehand.
Yeah.
So the big thing is that Unity, either a couple years ago or last year, put a big investment or made a big investment by buying a company called Iron Source, which is a mobile ad serving company.
Right.
So the general the thing that has come out is that what a lot of the change in the pay structure, what it was geared towards was basically kind of a carrot and stick thing.
Yeah.
Or stick and then agree.
Shit covered stick. Yeah.
Stick.
Clean stick and shit stick.
Yeah, it's like stick and then agreeing to maybe not use the stick.
Yeah,
like you don't
that's
get
fair.
it. There's no carrot.
No.
There's just stick and maybe not stick.
Yeah. And specifically, that's the fact. There's a competitor to Iron Source that's known as AppLovin, and AppLovin has like the most popular in-app serving ad market or ad setup.
Because that's a market that everyone wants to get in on. Everyone loves those in-app ads in mobile games.
And yet, because it's like, that's a great way to make money, and you want to have an everybody's like, no, I can't just run a search engine. I have to have an advertising business. So Unity bought Iron Source as a means of doing this and was like, hey, what if we did a thing where we said we're going to charge you these terrible rates, but hey, if you come talk to us, then we can actually give you a better rate with Iron Source, and if you just move over to us, then we won't charge you these terrible rates.
Yeah. So it's like, we've altered the deal basically, and so that's and apparently that there were quite a few higher up people in Unity where basically like the idea for this new fee structure was proposed.
Yeah,
people were like, I don't know about that. Maybe we should look into this more.
Yeah,
and do some consultation with the community.
Mm-hmm.
And then like a week later, it was announced, and they're like, "Oh, I guess we're not doing that consultation thing." So apparently, it caught a lot of Unity executives off guard as well, which is obviously not a good look for the company culture or whatever.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about this leading to a grand exodus of developers from Unity.
Right.
It's not certain how many people are actually going to be doing that or not.
Yeah, I mean, there's there's people. Yeah, whether people talk a big game and whether they actually do it or not, it's tough. Changing your engine is pretty tough.
Yeah.
Especially depending on how far you're into the game. But
it did lead to Unity. I mean, the CEO left. I don't think he was forced out so much as they kind of told him, it's like, you messed up. And he was like, I guess I got to go.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't sound like it was a force out. It sounded like he kind of like, I'll just go. It's like, yeah, that doesn't fix everything, but it's a start.
Or sort of an attempt to be like, it was all his fault and now he's gone.
Yeah. And frankly, I wouldn't trust what they have to say anymore either. But I'm not a developer, and so I get to sit on my high horse about that. And so I have to wonder about people who are developing things in Unity if they're like, I just got to get this game out, man. Like, I got to do it and get it out. And one of the things that got me about the interview, though, is that somebody being like, I don't know why all these people complain. It's not like any of them are going to get $2 million with their games. Like, that was from inside the company.
Right.
And that was the thing, is like, once you hit $1 million, was like, that was a threshold when really bad stuff was going to kick in. And I'm like, you as a developer, you don't know when you're going to make the next hit game, right? You might be working on a thing and being like, you put all your time and your effort and your soul into it, and you're like, I think this is going to be a really good game. And it comes out and it's shit. Or it comes out and it blows everyone's minds. Like, the guys who make Vampire Survivors, if you look at that game, it does not look like it should be the kind of game that a lot of people are going to flock to, and yet they did. So you have to ask yourself, it's like, what is the thing?
Sure, you might not get to the $1 million.
Yeah,
but you hope you do.
You want to, right? That's
you don't want to be in a condition. You don't want to be in a position where if you get to that $1 million, you actually are like in trouble.
Yeah, like Among Us is another great example. Texan Reverend mentions Among Us in chat, and it's like, yeah, Among Us is the thing where it's like that was not doing anything, and then all of a sudden
that was out for like 2 years or something before it kicked off.
They were about ready to say, let's just make the second version of the game and we'll improve stuff, and then when it went stratospheric, and it's like, so yeah, then what would have happened to them if they ran into that same problem with whatever engine they were using?
obviously, yeah, not being game developers, it's a little different. Although a parallel that I can imagine is like Adobe. Like we make extensive use of Adobe software here in the office. But lots of decisions they have made over the past little while, I have very much disagreed with.
Yeah.
But they're, the software is still really good,
and also,
and it's so damn useful.
Yeah, and we know how to use it. Is the thing.
And there's a lot of there's a lot of institutional knowledge, and not even institutional knowledge, but personal knowledge.
Yeah.
I know how to work in it and stuff, but it does. It does kind of, it's at the back of my mind, the idea that, especially with their, the cloud system, at some point they could alter the deal.
Yeah.
And, we'd be screwed.
Exactly.
And that could just happen. And we have very little control over that, and very little confidence that Adobe won't do that.
Yeah.
And so, I can see that as a parallel with the Unity thing being like, yeah, Unity, they've done this stuff. I don't really trust them, but their software works really well for me.
Yeah.
So, we'll keep going on it.
I definitely know how to use it, and so I know what it's capable of. And by the way, I downloaded Affinity Design, or I purchased Affinity Designer and Affinity Photo, and they work quite well. And I don't have the deep Photoshop knowledge. I have Photoshop knowledge. I have some Illustrator knowledge, right? That kind of thing. But I've never done a ton of work in those things. My thing was always InDesign. Like that was PageMaker and InDesign. That's what I did a lot of work in. But the Affinity products, I was like, actually, these could be a good replacement if I can convince people to have to be like, you have to use this now. Take your time, learn how it works, get up to speed on it. You'll probably be just fine. I hear Acorn's also good. There's a lot of other ones that run on Mac OS that would be really good for people. I don't know what runs on Windows, because you do Photoshop on Windows. But yeah, there's a little bit. There's that, right? It's like you could always try moving to another product, because a photo editor is not an entire game engine. You have to rip out of your whole game.
Right, but a ton of my work is in PSD format.
Exactly, right? And how do you interact with that? Yeah, so
and yeah, there's the GIMP and stuff,
GIMP,
which I have attempted to use at various times and been extremely frustrated by. Not necessarily saying that that's something wrong with the program itself. It's more just that things aren't where they're supposed to be, and it works in a way that I don't like.
Yeah.
But the way that I like is the way that Photoshop works, because I've been using that for 30 years.
And I tried to get Inkscape a go multiple times, and sometimes it works great, and sometimes it crashes all the time. And I know the new version is way more stable, and I actually have watched some videos online about how to do cool stuff in the new Inkscape, which is an Illustrator replacement, right? Open source Illustrator replacement. I'm like, that's also cool. So yeah, I think we're all kind of feeling that a little bit more these days. Is why not try to do things that are outside of what the norm is.
Okay, so this is a story. I talk about this sometimes, that I get interested in stories sometimes, or I look at things, and because they're about a game that I don't play, I don't know the significance necessarily.
Right.
But if you are a Fortnite player, I think it might be exciting to you that apparently, hold on to your whatever you're holding on to.
Okay.
Season 4, Chapter 5 will be taking players back to Chapter 1.
Like Season 1, Chapter 1?
I guess.
Sure.
It's going to be...
Wow.
It's going to be like a throwback thing.
Huh. We got an ad running.
Oh.
Better kill that if it's making noise. Huh.
Which seems like it could be kind of fun. Seems like kind of a cool idea. Presumably, it's not going to go back. It's one of those interesting, Warcraft Classic things where it's like, we want to go back, but don't get rid of the quality of life stuff. So presumably, it's not going to be like we're going to go back to we're gonna, they'll keep like no build mode and the stuff, but it'll be like it's like the old island map. So it's like the old, because Fortnite has gone through quite a few map changes over the years, adding new things and changing all the stuff. Presumably it's not going to go back to the zombie defense game, which was actually what Fortnite was supposed to be back in the day.
I understand their naming thing now is that chapters are the big things and seasons are the things that exist inside chapters.
Right, which is basically the opposite of what everybody else does, just to confuse things.
Yeah, because you might have, like, when I think of a season of something, it has multiple episodes, so I assume that seasons had multiple chapters of stuff or whatever, but no, this is, chapter is like having a book.
Yeah, one might be forgiven for thinking that season would be the thing that's, seasonal.
I guess the chapters are like, in this part of the story over the next 2 years, all these seasons fill. I guess whatever. It's fine. They can do whatever they want. The kids are weird these days.
Yeah.
So neat. Okay, you get to go all the way back to where this started, and
I guess for some players it'll be it'll either be like a nostalgic thing or it'll be like I mean, I don't know quite how long ago this would be. I don't know if we're at the point where it was like, oh, this is what my dad used to play.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
This is boomer Fortnite or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's like doing World of Warcraft Classic, right? I wonder how many kids were like, oh, I would play WoW right now. What's the old one like? I'll give it a try just for lulz. They don't realize they're playing EverQuest.
Yeah. I think those are all the stories that were interesting to talk about anyway.
It's the ones that we flagged to include in stuff. That's good.
Yeah. So I think that was interesting. Somebody, I saw the American mentioned in chat that Steam VR has come out of beta into regular, regular release.
All right, yeah.
Which is one of those things that's significant in the sense that, as we all know these days, beta versus regular release means nothing, right? Like there's no reference point for what beta means in comparison to normal release.
So
Steam VR is 2.0 was it?
It's definitely out of release.
It was Steam VR 2.0 beta,
so like 1.9 beta and then it went to 2.0.
I don't.
It's very it's like these things used to mean stuff.
I believe they're not using the semantic versioning system.
No, that's too bad.
But anyway, so if you're on the Steam VR, check that out. I've actually been pretty impressed with what Steam has that considering that Steam is, fundamentally a game launcher, the fact that they are basically constant, every time it seems like half the time when I launch Steam, there are updates to the Steam client.
Right.
They're continually and adding new functionality and tweaking things, and changing things, which I appreciate that Steam actually, that they're doing all sorts of different things. They're probably, I feel like most of the features that they're adding are things that I don't care about. All the tabs in the Steam client that I never look at that are here's all your stickers and
I just need a place to see all my games.
Yeah.
And that was my start menu for many years, and now it's this. No. So
games in your start menu?
Yeah.
You,
under accessories.
Some kind of old. Oh yeah, right. Where it would, in with the auto installed, your Minesweeper and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Those go into the AA games folder.
Right. Yes.
So that it would appear at the top of the list.
Yeah.
that was the lead strat.
Oh my god.
Anyway, thanks everybody for watching and for joining us. And check out the episode of ChillPoint if you haven't looked at it yet.
Yeah.
If you're watching this on YouTube, it should be somewhere near this video, probably. But in the meantime, we will see all y'all later.
Check out the Patreon. Goodbye.
Oh, yes, that too.